Hello and welcome to this week's late edition of Urbane Legends, the hit internet podcast about urban legends and similar topics. I am Chris Flynn, and with me as always is Monsieur.
Nearly a bear.
So I just want to explain why we're a bit late, everyone. You may, if you're a regular listener, you would have heard a few months back I lost one of my cats. Now, currently, I've been asked because my other cat has got really ill, and they're not 100% sure, but it might be cancer. So there's very little chance of a cure, but we live in hope. So yeah, that's why. So apologies. And I will. Do you know what? Like, fuck it. For once, I'm going to say this. So we set up a GoFundMe. If you're interested at all, if you just go on GoFundMe and you type in my cat's name, which is Lady Meow. MEOW, then we set up a GoFundMe there because essentially, as regular listeners will know, I was made redundant before Christmas and I've only just started a new job. So essentially, this is maxing out all my cards, which is fine. I don't care about the money, frankly. But if we're able to do anything more for and everything, then it's going to cost money. And just if anyone feels like they could spare £5 or whatever, I'd be really appreciative. I'll actually, me and Neil, well, I don't know if Neil will do it, but me and Neil, or just me, will send you like a personal thank you. I'll email it to you or whatever if you let me know your email address. So sorry about that. I'm going to try and be as lighthearted as I can. To be honest, I sort of need a distraction. My cat's having a little sleep at the moment, so she's. I just got back from the vets yesterday, so. Yeah, so I thought we'd do this, and Neil, I believe I didn't tell you this beforehand, but I'm expecting from you a level of hilarity which will take my mood from 0 to hero. So
this is going to work out well then. So, well, fortunately, Chris, I've got not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 spooky Canadian urban legends to treat you with.
Do you know what? That amount of urban legends might actually fill my head, so I'm not failing to sleep tonight with constant sickening worry.
That's what I'm hoping any of our audience who may be facing similar situations.
Yeah, if you are, I'm sure, I'm not trying to complain. No, we all have our stuff going on. But yeah, I think it's best to be upfront with this kind of stuff.
I entirely agree. Yeah.
If you are a regular, then you may be 2% invested in our lives. I don't know.
Yeah. And I thought that's fine too, listener.
If not, I think that there's 2% invested in our lives, but there's about 25% invested in our demise. So,
and that's what if you're just cheering on, or
of increasingly pain-filled lives. Then do you know what? Why not? While you
numbers working out for you,
while you're chuckling, why not laugh all the way to the bank and stick a bit in the GoFundMe? It's worth it, isn't it, for a good laugh? I haven't got a load of stuff to talk about today, Neil, particularly. So are we all right to
Frankly, this episode will last as long as it lasts, and you're lucky getting one this week at all. I mean, not meaning that in a snotty way, listeners, but as I said in my
considering things
3-second apology from earlier on in the week, it's we're doing what we can, we'll see how it all pans out.
We're true professionals, and it's not at all anything to distract me from my own thoughts.
No, this is massive, like from the trenches style, new journalism, podding at its best or worst. You decide, right? And so I thought, what's an urban legend that's not? It's going to be spooky, but not too spooky. Canadians are lovely people, aren't they? They're always polite and friendly.
Big friendly Scotland.
Oh. Lovely Canadian.
Big friendly Scotland.
Yeah,
they are, and they produce the best comedians and porn stars that then go to America. So
there you go. What more could you ask for North America? So without further ado,
open the borders.
I kind of feel like that's probably already happened. I think they're more worried about their.
No, not anymore.
Oh, really? Has it gone?
No, the cartel are all going up to Newfoundland and then coming down through Canada.
MS-25.
Or that weird French overseas territory, which I never heard of, which is still part of France, which is just south of Newfoundland.
Oh, really?
Saint Pierre and something.
Anywhere in Quebec?
Yeah, and quite Nick. But the
I would
thing is,
imagine,
right,
yes.
people go on about Gibraltar, but we're all doing it a little bit, eh? We're all doing it a little bit.
Do you know what the thing is? And I've said this before, and it's like, and I don't like approve colonialism or any of the rest of it. I find Gibraltar quite funny because at the end of the day, the Spanish were just as rapacious as the British, the Portuguese, the French, etc.,
Oh, yeah,
etc. In actual fact, probably, whatever.
More so, I would say.
And again, no disrespect to our Spanish friends, whatever. It's all in
No,
the
I'm a
past.
Hispanophile, so I'm.
Yeah,
But
love Spain, but
we're quite certain members of the aristocracy and some soldiers were quite cunty during the 16th century.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if it's going to be like that, and that's kind of amusing rather than, but being somewhere that's whatever.
So
but,
it's
but yeah, don't.
Oh, it's funny,
and we're all friends, really. Come on,
it's funny that it's on another colonial power.
Exactly. That's the reason I can sort of joke about that. Although I say in my head, but I get why it would annoy Spanish people living in southern Spain.
I'm more than happy to turn over, a bit like Lowestoft. They can have that.
Yeah,
they have Lowestoft. Lovely. Gives them nice, good routes into the Atlantic Sea trade. That's fine. Have Lowestoft.
Lowestoft.
St. Pierre and Miquelon is what it's called. The sneaky French territory. Hey, don't look over there. Hey, no, it's okay. Hey, we're post-colonial. Don't worry about it. Hey, don't you be looking under Newfoundland. That's where I keep my secrets. It's got a population of about 10,000.
Fair enough.
Let's get Her Majesty's Navy out there. We left the
So what was it called again? Saint Pierre and
Miquelon. Miquelon.
Well, I think you'll find, Frenchie. That's Peter and Michael Island, yeah? Fucking hand it over. You fucking mug. It's like the last Malvinas.
Remember of Five Eyes. We've got all the intel.
Anyway, but again, it's I'm suggesting it's probably.
What do you think? What do you think we'll block you from being in that nuclear submarine deal? We've got designs. The world's a mess.
Yes, yeah.
But as long as we have
dig up ancient history and
podcasts and urban legends, and hey, maybe it's worth pursuing it for a bit.
Look, it'll ease the confusion for a bit. It'll ease the pain. So 5 spooky Canadian urban legends. So I basically just, as you can imagine, not massive amounts of prep on this one. So 24 and all things. So I have gone to mysteries.canada.com. We've got the 5 spooky Canadian urban legends. I just thought, Canada, nice, friendly little place. Now, let's, without further ado, launch in. Let's see what we get.
Are they all lake monsters?
I mean, you've got to worry about that, haven't you? Well, let's dive in and see. I'm already seeing something we've talked about anyway. But a reference to something from New York, but don't worry, it's that one. Every town has its urban legends.
Is that true?
I don't know if every town does.
I mean, you have kind of local characters. Is that an urban legend? Like there was
urban legends around Brighton? Undoubtedly not.
I don't know. No, I wouldn't have thought so. Certainly not urbane legends around Brighton.
No.
I think it's more like local characters. More than because I don't know. Like people think like, that old house over there that's haunted or whatever, don't they? I guess I didn't grow up in any of them. But
I've never really known.
It's a more scientific age.
See, I've never really lived anywhere there were any like proper haunted houses or any of that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's more.
What up in the area where you live, which is all new builds.
Yeah. Hey, they have plenty of deaths. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, I bet, Neil. There's a reason why you change postcodes.
Yeah. Anyway, every town allegedly has
another old woman banged to death.
Banging on about whatever. The modern myths which once proliferated by way of playgrounds and backyard campfires and now circulate via smartphones and social media. Oh god, yeah, kids can't even hang around in playgrounds.
It's all TikTok, isn't it?
Oh.
What's wrong with campfires?
Well, the problem is, because every time the campfire goes up, and all the kids are just looking at it through their phone screens.
Oh, it's disgusting.
TikToking it. It's an absolute nightmare.
I mean, the good thing is, like, for the planet, the good thing
Look at this bonfire, LOL.
The good thing for the planet is that all of the sort of, what are they, Gen Zs now?
I believe that is the youngest generation. Gen Alpha is the very youngest.
So the Gen Zs are Gen Alpha. They're just growing up on their phones, and they literally don't know how to do anything in the real world. So basically, once they're in charge, everything will shut down and the planet will just be given back to nature. So it's good, isn't it? That's actually what happens with all civilizations. It's
that was nature's plan. Yeah, you get so far up.
You get so far that basically they just forget everything because they just know how to use devices.
Just get a bit distracted.
Yeah, they just don't learn anything anymore, and then back to nature. That's why there aren't aliens everywhere. That's the actual Fermi paradox.
Yeah, there you go. Fermi paradox solved. You heard it here first.
Yeah, and I'm going to call it C. I'm just
Flynn
going to call
solution.
it C. Yeah, the Flynn's. Yeah,
the solution.
The Flynn equation.
Yeah,
yeah, the Flynn continuum.
Right.
So,
urban legend. Many of these, like the legend of Cropsey, which is what I'm referring to. The bogeymen of Staten Island are based on solid but only partially understood historical fact. Mm-hmm. They're more lurid details, perhaps deriving from an attempt to fill the blank spaces in the public narrative.
I think some of the lurid details were the fact that it was based on someone who actually kidnapped children.
Yeah, I mean, Cropsey was
there was actually based
documented,
on something.
Real horrible.
Like him being a monster, like living in the old insane asylum. That's all the urban legend bit. There was an actual guy though who a child molester essentially. So,
the details were fairly lurid already. Although I suppose they got even more lurid after we got their hands on it. As with all of these things, there's always embellishment. So others, like the creepypasta character Slenderman,
John Slenderman here,
which slithered from its cyberspace breeding ground into modern folklore.
What sort of snake talk?
I don't know. I think I'm just trying to do a little bit of ASMR there. That's sexy for our listeners. Have no discernible connection.
I wouldn't have sickle down on top of it, wasn't it?
Exactly. So we had to mute the mic while you were crying up all over yourself. Apparently, being nothing more than the products of imagination and credulity. I don't think anyone's mistaking Slenderman for a real thing. I think,
stupid kids.
Kids, yeah.
They've just been on their phones, don't know anything.
Yeah, don't know what's going on.
They don't know up from down now. Don't know Arthur from Martha, half of them.
Tell you what, it's gotten quite deep, isn't it? Mm. So, what distinguishes urban legends from proper ghost stories? Monster sightings.
Got a street name in it.
And other accounts of the weird and wonderful are their complete reliance on unverifiable third-hand hearsay. Okay. I'd argue a ghost story kind of is an urban legend, but whatever. Their quintessential derivation from the account of some nameless friend of a friend. Unlike most tales of the unexplained, which even the most hardened skeptic would be forced to admit have undeniable roots in the historical record. Well, you've already talked about Cropsey, which, yeah.
Do you know what? I'm sorry, do you know what I've just realised? Do you know I was making that joke earlier about people wanting to see our demise?
Mm.
It's just tweaked me because I checked.
To make some money out of this?
No, I checked just snuff movies. Why not? Well, our Simon Cowell wears that place on the Mekong River.
It's at the end of Deer Hunter. We'll both be the what's his face character? Yeah.
No, but what I've realised, and I've connected it now in my currently slow brain, is actually the amount of viewers that we had on your one sentence is more than we normally get on a release of an actual podcast. So I think people were rubbing their hands together to, I hope something bad's happened.
Well,
So, anyway, sorry, I just thought I'd point that out.
No, I didn't look up the. Maybe just because it was only like a minute long, and they were like, "Oh, that's fun. Get to the end of that." Listened to it a few times, played it back with some pleasure. Who knows? Where do we get to? Yeah, well, most tales are unexplained, which even the most hard skeptical would admit have undeniable roots in the historical record. Urban legends are essentially fictional, partly fictional, or unverifiable stories masquerading as fact. Yeah,
so I would say ghost stories and that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get how like monster sightings and ghost stories, and I think it's all of a piece. But hey, there you go. In this piece, we will explore 5 urban legends unique to the Great White North. Enjoy.
Hey.
And then
I'd like to go to Canada. You can get cheap flights there now on Air Norway. Get to Toronto for a couple hundred quid.
I've been to Canada, thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure it's a beautiful country. We're friends of our Canadian listeners. Anyway, so first one, Screaming Tunnel.
Screaming Tunnel.
The Screaming Tunnel.
That's what they used to call your ass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say the tube, but yeah, my back passage for it, fair enough.
Sorry, listeners. I'm not 100%.
You've been waiting for that. Beneath the Canadian Railroad, much like mine, on the northern outskirts of Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Again.
Yeah.
It's still added up.
Yeah. It has been compared to Niagara Falls.
A tall, brown-haired man with glasses.
Ontario, in the very centre of the quiet rural strip separating that city from northwesterly St. Catharines, runs a small limestone corridor known as the Screaming Tunnel. Built in the 1900s for drainage purposes. There you go.
Oh, here we go.
1970s, it could have worked out. This dark 125 foot.
Give or take. Give or take.
In the way off Warner Road, not far from the Queen Elizabeth Highway. And the Warner Methodist Cemetery beyond.
Oh, come on, man. This is a joke.
Its entrance shaded by overhanging vegetation, it's uncanny, is the perfect setting for
a picnic.
Yeah. One of Canada's eeriest urban legends.
Oh, okay.
Right, there we go. Got there in the end. According to local law, the tunnel owes its name to a tragic event which took place around the turn of the 20th century. One night, a nearby farmhouse caught fire, and a woman or girl.
Don't matter.
Yeah.
I can't vote. Don't matter.
Whatever. Stumbled from the inferno, suffering from appalling burns. A nightgown ablaze.
Oh no! And I bet it's polyester as well, so it would have all stuck.
Yeah, right up. This girl staggered into the tunnel.
Probably fell asleep with the Marlboro, didn't she?
Yeah.
And the chip pan on.
Well, probably a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Half a pack full.
Had a tease made with the wrong plug on it.
You just do what you
didn't have. I tell you what, she didn't have any crying child paintings to protect her.
No.
I mean, at the end of the day, this woman's a walking disaster. Yeah. Right? She might, begging for being ablaze, really.
Yeah, you might as well just, pour petrol over yourself. It's wailing as she walked that you think screaming would have been near the mark, but there you go. Perhaps hoping to find help on the other side of the railroad.
Why didn't she stop, drop and roll? Polyester again, isn't it? It just means it goes further.
Going to set fire to all of the polyester built tunnel around us.
Yeah.
Before she complete her journey, she collapsed and died in the middle of that rough-hewn underpass.
Okay.
Ever since, disembodied shrieks as of a woman in agony have been heard emanating from the tunnel at night. Legend has it that if you enter the Screaming Tunnel at midnight and light a wooden match, something will blow your match out, and a blood-chilling scream will reverberate throughout the passageway.
No. Doesn't it happen quite a lot anyway because of changes in air pressure?
I mean, the blood-chilling scream less so, I would imagine. But yeah, certainly blow the match out.
I don't know science.
Yeah. Maybe there's something that whistles through a particular pipe or something. So, according to an article on the website ghostwalks.com, the cyber home of a ghost tour company which brings its patrons to the most haunted locales in southern Ontario. I mean, that's a niche prospect, isn't it?
The 7 most haunted hotels in northern Ontario.
Well, you looking to explore any hotel locales in southern Ontario? No, it's fine. I was just looking for a normal holiday, to be honest with you.
So there's always a thing about hotels meant to be haunted and stuff, and I remember
any hotel is going to have
plenty of them,
stories,
plenty of them. Retirees on a day trip, but I worked at the Royal Albion Hotel, as I've mentioned here before, when I was about 20 in the bar, and that was meant to be haunted. then
Well, you had a fair body count there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jim Moody guest never checked out.
At the end, I was the only one there, and all the rooms were booked.
Yeah.
Ran out of do not
That's
disturb.
what they based the Outlook Hotel on, wasn't it? Stephen King.
Yeah, I believe so.
Your time there, yeah.
Yeah. And that the fight scene in the corridor and Old Boy that was based on that as well. No, but I never saw any ghosts there. I don't. But that's a really old hotel. That's one of the oldest ones. So that's about 300 years or 350 or something like that. I never saw it. But then that doesn't mean.
Well, maybe you didn't have The Shining.
Maybe I didn't have The Shining.
You didn't have The Shining.
That can you get that anywhere online or can you buy it body shop? I might just be thinking of oiling.
No, I think it's an intrinsic gift you have to be blessed with.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like a blessing, really.
Well, curse with, if you prefer. You
could monetize it, couldn't you?
Hey, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person?
I mean,
Doc.
I mean, clearly half full. Let's get shining.
Yeah. Right. So there is. Here we go. Another less horrific story, which purports to explain the tunnel's naming. The article cites an anonymous Niagara historian who interviewed a nameless woman who claimed to have lived. There's a lot of whats and coulds and shoulds in here. Who claimed to have lived in the area. To have maybe have lived it. Apparently, the historian may or may not have existed. Years ago, the informant had an eccentric neighbour who argued frequently and loudly with her husband. Without fail, after each quarrel, I don't know where this is going, this cantankerous housewife would exit her home, walk across the field, and disappear into the screaming tunnel.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
A couple of seconds later, the informant told the historian, we all heard it, a loud scream. The first time it happened, we were scared. After a while, it felt normal, expected. She, and I swear this, walked to the middle of the tunnel and screamed at the top of her lungs. The birds never got used to it. We started calling it the screaming tunnel. That's kind of all right, isn't it? It's like many a time
I can absolutely
walked out wanted to scream into a pillow. So
I currently want to scream at the universe quite a lot, so I can completely understand that.
Emotionally,
if I had a tunnel nearby, I'd go and scream in it. But actually, if I did just like have a scream, probably the plod would come round or something. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't. You're not allowed to scream if you're an adult, really, without dire consequences.
I imagine this was a bit less well placed. Anyway, whatever secrets it holds, that gloomy corridor in the southern of Ontario's so-called Golden Horseshoe. Don't know where we're getting that from. Fair enough. Shout out to our Ontarioan friends. Is that what it is? Has an intrinsic spookiness which will doubtless ensure its place in an urban legend for years to come.
It's good.
I'm going to disagree with that.
It's a woman having a scream.
Yeah. Either a lady set fire to herself and went and died in the tunnel, or someone had an annoying husband and went under the screen.
But I like that because it gives you, what it actually was and how it's turned out.
Adventure. Yeah. Right. Number 2, the Wendigo of Fort Kent. So I think we had we'll maybe do it on a proper episode at some point, but I think did we try and do Wendigos, but it was a bit too
we got in the headspace. We got too deep in headspace. We got too deep in headspace about the fact that it was probably about cannibalism if it was a really hard winter.
Americans, yeah.
So we kind of got too. We became too fixated on the cannibalism aspect of it, I think, and a lot of the air went out of the room.
Yeah, it became less lighthearted and amusing at that point. Anyway, let's see how this one goes. Since the early 2000s, I mean, we've done, there's that episode of Supernatural. Had a Wendigo in it, didn't it, the second episode? Since the early 2000s, the disturbing episode of a little historical event has circulated throughout the shadowy corners of the internet. The tale is set in Fort Kent, a remote hunting and fishing destination in east central Alberta, not far from the Saskatchewan border, which lies at the junction of the Great Plains and the Boreal Forest.
Saskatchewan.
I was going to say, I hurried over that.
You're not from round here, buddy. It's Saskatchewan, eh?
Saskatchewan, yeah. I was hoping to just sort of dive
Neil,
into it.
I'm always happy when I can teach you something.
It's like my
It's like having your teeth pulled on.
Blooper of realizing that Arkansas is spelled that way.
Yeah.
According to the story,
Just shows you, doesn't it? All that university learning.
Yeah, well, there's always gaps. According to the story, back in the 20s, when the town of Fort Kent was rapidly dwindling into the tiny hamlet it is today, its 19th century zenith as a vibrant logging community being little more than a fading memory, a mysterious predator took up residence in the nearby woods.
Mm.
Local ranchers would head to their stables in the morning to find their horses horrifically mutilated and their cattle disemboweled in the fields.
Fucking nutter.
At night, they heard unearthly howls emanating from the forest behind their properties.
It's probably that woman again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First
stop screaming, second
it was
stop
an that was
horses.
the inciting incident, and now I believe they would say on something like Mindhunter. Yeah. They would say something like, she's escalating.
It got normalised. Everyone's like, oh, fine. And then she's like, oh, okay, take it up a notch.
She's escalating.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be funny if all five are like it.
Well, we're going to tie him in.
But yeah. One brave soul who ventured out into the darkness, shotgun in hand, with the intention of killing this nocturnal marauder, reported seeing a dark shape with brilliantly glowing eyes flitting through the trees. Shortly after the appearance of this unwanted neighbour, the waning population of Fort Kent was bolstered by the arrival of the English immigrants.
Dr.
Thomas. Oh, hello. How are you doing? Let me show you how we do things properly.
Wendigo.
In the old country. Wendigo? No, none of that silliness.
No, how are you doing? Well,
it's clearly mounted.
It's clearly a mounted.
Finest spirits of wine.
You superstitious boob.
So Dr. Thomas Burton and his wife, Katie. Now, Dr. Burton was a physician and a combat surgeon who'd served in the trenches of Flanders during the Great War. Okay, so it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the 20s, yeah. His senses reeling from the carnage he witnessed in that muddy, rat-infested world, he had decided to start a new life in the quiet Albertan countryside where he might recoup what had remained of his shattered nerves. Little did he think he's walking into Wendigo country.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with his shell shock / PTSD.
No, absolutely not. Dr. Burton and his wife settled easily into their new home in the Albertan wilds. They established a medical practice and began making house calls to the more far-flung residents in the area, for which the locals were eternally grateful. That's nice. By all accounts, they became pillars of that tiny community and were liked and respected by the neighbours.
If it hadn't been for him murdering the animals.
Yeah. Not long after the arrival of Dr. and Mrs. Burton, Fort Kent was ravaged by some terrible disease, which proved lethal to patients of all ages. Okay. Dr. Burton was
syphilis.
I've been around a bit. Was unable to identify the mysterious malady, and despite his best efforts, found himself incapable of effecting a cure.
Isn't it true?
I
don't think I'm making this up. Isn't it true that we got syphilis when we went to the New World because the disease existed within the native population, but they'd grown a kind of immunity to it, I think that might be correct, yes. In the same way that the conquistadors gave everyone fucking smallpox and that in South America, they gave us a bit back as well, which I think is fair, as someone who has no syphilis and hasn't lost anyone to it.
Yeah, and frankly, probably anyone who, into that. But I think you might be right. I wouldn't swear on it, but yeah, that sounds familiar. We've got potatoes, tomatoes, and syphilis.
It's not bad. Not
decent
bad.
hole all along. Where we go? Yeah, they settled in, pillars of community, blah, blah, blah. Not long after the arrival of the Dr. and Mrs. Burton, Fort Kent was ravaged by a terrible disease, proved lethal potential all ages. Couldn't live with his wife's treatment of disease. Did everything in his power to restore her health, but to no avail. Her condition worsened rapidly, and after a few days, she died. And we're getting quite into the side story here, but let's see how these all tie together. Dr. Burton fell into a deep despondency after Katie's death and refused all requests for medical assistance, not even deigning to open his door to his desperate neighbours whose loved ones were dying in their beds. The disease continued to sweep throughout the town, and before long, nearly all residents of Fort Kent were ill or dying. He's not doing his job there, but there you go. At the height of the epidemic...
kind of understandable.
Yeah, no, in fairness, he's talking to his wife. At the height of the epidemic, one young man who has managed to avoid the contagion, I think is what I'm trying to say, took it upon himself to seek assistance in a nearby settlement, perhaps Bonneville, known at the time as St. Louis de Moose Lake, or Cold Lake to the east. There's a lot of facts in this. Several days later, all relevant facts, several days later, he and a handful of volunteers ran to Fort Kent with a wagon and supplies, and everybody quick doing activity. An eerie silence prevailed, broken only by the distant buzzing of flies. The sickly sweet smell of death and decay hung heavily over the dirt streets. This is a... how long this is. Yeah, okay. I'm wondering when the Wendigo. Anyway, whatever.
Are they blamed it on a Wendigo at the end?
Yeah. Subsequent investigation determined that nearly every resident of Fort Kent had been brutally murdered at home. Most of the
thought they were dying of disease.
I think that the good doctors. There you go. Here's the Wendigo, I suspect. So, subsequent investigation determined that nearly every resident of Fort Kent had been brutally murdered at home. Most of the 24 victims, or we find out the doctor's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Most of the 24 victims were found lying in beds, soaked with their own blood, as if they'd been slaughtered in their own sleep.
Ugh.
Some of the bodies were partially eaten. The only townsperson unaccounted for was Dr. Thomas Burton. So
he's flipped his top, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's gone mental and had it out of town. So, officers of the Northwest Mounted Police, the Mounties, investigate the scene, whose agency, incidentally, would be renamed the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Yeah, okay, fine. Suspected that people of Fort Kent had been massacred by Dr. Burton. I mean, yeah, that's probably what.
Yeah, not bad. That's some good deducing.
Good mounting there.
Well, they're the best.
The shell-shocked physician, they believed, had lost his mind, the last fraying threads of sanity which anchored him to reality having snapped under the weight of his wife's death.
Yep.
Wife's death, one night, when the town was asleep, the deranged surgeon emerged from his home, unkempt, unwashed, and wild-eyed. One by one, he broke into the homes of his neighbours and gave violent vent to his despair. When his grisly work was complete, he simply wandered into the woods to be swallowed by the darkness. So, in the wake of the tragedy, local Cree Indians whispered that Dr. Burton had been possessed by the Wendigo, an evil cannibalistic spirit said to haunt the northern wilderness. The mysterious creature that mutilated local cattle in the months preceding the disaster, which had been heard howling in the woods outside the village, was undoubtedly the ancient predator on the hunt for a suitable host. When Dr. Burton lost control of his senses following his wife's death, the Wendigo infiltrated his weakened mind, took possession of his body, and then, in a vain attempt to satiate his ravenous appetite, gorged itself on the hapless residents of Fort Kent until returning to the woods. Gone.
I was going to say, well, that's worrying, isn't it? Because I feel like because of what's going on with me, I'm actually now at risk of Wendigo.
Wendigo attack, yeah.
Well, Wendigo inhabiting me.
Right, so you've got to put
because my mind isn't working. My mind isn't.
Have you got the salt circle up, Chris? Again,
I've got the Supernatural. I've got the David Soul poster.
You've got the David Soul posters, salt circle, some rosemary.
I haven't got a salt circle yet.
No.
So I probably need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you want some like childish pictures of like
dogs,
ghostly things. Yeah,
ghosts.
Hang those on the walls. That'll
hang those
like a charm made out of twigs.
And do you reckon just the usual bedtime thing? Straight jacket on, strap myself, get the people to strap me down. Yeah. Okay, standard bedtime. Okay, well, that's not too bad. I'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
Well, not me, neighbours.
Exactly, yeah. Better safe than sorry, eh?
Hey. Do you know what? They don't know how lucky they are to have me as a neighbour. Really community spirited.
So in that sylvan sanctuary, they suppose that the body of Dr. Burton gradually metamorphosed into a gaunt grey-skinned giant, the physical manifestation of the Wendigo. Here we go. Such is the story as it was portrayed in Season 2, Episode 2 of the Canadian TV programme Creepy Canada, a series which dramatised various ghost stories and occasional monster legend native to the Great White North. This particular segment, which aired November the 4th, 2003, and from all the variations the story derived,
off the press.
Depicted the massacre of Fort Kent as a genuine historical event, even including a monologue by both an actress and monologue Gillian Scott, who is credited as a historian to lend it legitimacy. Again, this sort of focusing on some of the.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird little writing thing here.
Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of padding out his.
I sort of don't mind it. I don't mind it, but so sort of. Oh, gave it, and the director was Phil Thompson, whose sister-in-law actually runs a bakery just down the road from me. Anyway,
And I was going to be a twat. I should go back to the starting paragraph. Well, I thought urban legends were all made up, and in fact, they've tied it back in. They've fooled me, Chris. They've sprung the trap on me here in these final paragraphs. In fact, the story is a work of fiction. Created by then 29-year-old independent filmmaker Leslie Chivers, a native of Fort McMurray, Alberta.
Chivers!
Again?
Oh.
In the autumn of 2002, in a 2014 blog post on his website, lesliechivers.com, wordpress.com. That's not a website, that's just a WordPress blog. Anyway, whatever. Chivers explained how he conceived the idea after visiting Fort Kent on a road trip with his friend James. It was one of the creepiest towns that I've ever seen still surviving. I need to do one of these about Winchester. He wrote, the school was abandoned but not vandalised. The grass in the schoolyard grew to bottoms of windows, blowing soft waves in the wind. A girl's dirty shoe, was very evocative, was turned over in the playground under a swing that rocked back and forth as though a child was still swinging in it.
It was called Wind. So the thing which, and I would have thought he would have done his research, but it's well known that Canadians don't do graffiti, and they don't commit what do you call it? What do you call the little crimes where you smash something up? Vandalism.
Okay, yeah.
Canadians don't do vandalism. It's well known. It's well known. They don't have the gene.
No.
They're actually the most evolved group of people on Earth.
Good luck to them.
We still have the gene for vandalism and stuff from way back when we were apes, but they've something about that motherfucking bacon has bred it out of them.
It's all that maple syrup.
Do you reckon?
Takes it out, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a superfood now,
yeah.
Probably. Everything is.
Yeah. So, they spent the day walking through the rest of the town, even though there were a few houses that made people in it we were at. So they've gone to a ghost town, basically. There's a story here, a scary story. When he returned home, Chivers began to research the history of the Fort Kent area and discovered in his own words that the region had a lush history that included Wendigo convictions. Although he did not elaborate on which cases caught his attention, it's likely he came across the story of Swift Runner, a Plains Cree trapper who killed and ate his wife and 5 children in the winter of 1878 in Alberta. I'm going to skip over a little bit. Native explained his family's disappearance by informing the Catholic priest who headed the mission in the Alberta of St. Albert that they died of starvation. His well-fed constitution led the priest to suspect something more sinister had befallen them. Right. He let the Mounties know, and they found unfortunately sad remains of his family and unmistakable evidence of cannibalism. He confessed to the murders later. I think he said his dreams were haunted by the Wendigo.
Don't matter where you are, Neil. There's always 0.01% of the population who are fucking nutters.
Indeed, and they were trying to get a murder in hand.
I'm sure it's actually to do with lots of different environmental factors and perhaps brain chemistry and that kind of thing. I'm not saying like people born evil and stuff. It just there's reason behind it. But no matter where you are, Neil, we're all people. There's only one race, Neil, and that's the human race, and we have the same amount of cannibalistic nutters in all wherever you go.
I would imagine that's the case. The rest of it is now like 4 paragraphs about this guy trying to make a movie made. So I'm going to skip over those.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. This has been quite long.
Yeah.
This has been like a full episode one.
Yeah. So the next one, Chris, is the monster of Thetis Lake. I just
realized Lake.
Thetis. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
It's not where Thetan. It's not one of them volcanoes where Thetans come from.
I mean, I don't know. Could be.
Could be.
I've seen no evidence of B-52s or whatever it is yet. Either the band or the bombers, but
Thetans, of course, are the ghosts of dead aliens that live inside us.
Scientology, yeah.
So
we're both doing Scientology references there, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe the nuclear bombs were ferried by B-52s, and then put them into the volcanoes via said
Oh right, okay.
bombers. I believe that's how it works.
I'm not as high a level as you.
Yeah, I am. I'm at OT 13. So.
Well, you only just kind of got me in last week, didn't you? Because you could see I was sad because of my cat, and so you thought, well,
I had a word with Tom.
This will help him.
Said, come on, guy.
Yeah.
Come on, guy.
It wasn't Tom Cruise though, was it? It was Tom Batchelor. He's a bin man, but he's also your boss there.
Yeah.
At the Port Slade branch of Scientologists.
Yeah, all right. I can rub it in. Trying to air of mystery with the listeners.
Hey, I joined as well, and technically, you are my boss, my spiritual king.
Someone's going to get thoroughly fucking audited this week.
Oh no!
Right, I'm going to suggest there's 5 of these, and they're quite low. I realise, so I think we might make this a 2-parter.
Okay.
And let's wrap up with a monster of Thetis Lake. So, on August 22nd, 1972, Victoria, British Columbia's Victoria Times published a sensational article on their 4th page on their headline, "Thetis Monster Seen by Boys." Anyone supposed to know what a Thetis Monster was? Anyway, according to this piece, 16-year-old Gordon Pike and 17-year-old Robin Llewellyn of Victoria.
Right, here we go.
Okay, we're
couple of teenage lads, are they? Right, here we go. Weird how it's always a couple of teenage lads.
It's strange, isn't it?
Very, very
strange how this happens. So
it must be something. It must be something about their indomitable spirit that draws creatures through the veil.
That's why all of those mystery books are about
the wonderful shiny eyes,
like the Hardy Boys, isn't it? Isn't it?
The spring in their step and the song in their hearts.
So they were, so Thetis Lake is, which presumably is part of the town. So that's why just west of the Vancouver Island hometown on the night of Friday, August 18th, as anyone would, when they were approached by a strange silvery animal in the water.
Dolphin.
Later.
I just said dolphin.
Yeah, could be.
Have you seen that dolphin's been arrested for raping humans?
Really?
Something like that. I'm not willing to elaborate.
Fair enough. I think we'll leave that one well alone. A later article placed their sighting near the lake's concession stand, which sits in the lake's main beach. The August 22nd piece described the creature as being roughly triangular in shape, about 5 feet high and 5 feet across the base.
It's Whizbit. It's fucking Whizbit.
Whizbit, yeah. The animal bit Llewellyn on the hand, administering 6 tiny bite marks.
Where was its mouth? Like halfway up the triangle? I'm thinking of like a dairy slight triangle.
Shape. Kind of like some like ray or something.
Yeah.
Razor sharp teeth, sending the boys on a panic flight toward the shore. They returned to the lake the following evening, hoping to spot the monster a second time, and were rewarded for their efforts.
In
the twilight, they clearly made out
with an article in the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. They clearly made out. Look, this is clearly a bite. Look, the creature's triangular figure perched on a rock bluff near the concession stand.
No.
Okay. Near the concession stand.
Well, it'd be a closed concession stand, I would imagine. I don't think it was in line.
It's twilight, yeah. Just queuing up for some merch. Yeah, I like that T-shirt. According to a later article, they described the animal estate as measuring 5'3" in length, being fluorescent grey in colour, and having 3 points on top of his head.
What? Like a little trident head?
Yeah. Or a little joke or something. Yeah, or whatever they call those little hats. Pike and Llewellyn decided to report their encounter to the RCMP. I'll tell you what, the Mounties are getting a lot of press in this article.
Well, they're the best in the world now.
They are the best in the world. I mean, look at those jumpers. And I mean,
look, don't let the outfit fool you. That's all part of it.
Yeah.
That's all part of it.
Tell
you what, Neil, you fucking underestimate, and I know this from experience.
Chris, I've seen due south. I know what Mountie can do, mate. Don't even worry about it.
If you underestimate a member of Her Majesty's Royal
Mounted Police, more fool you.
Do you know what? You've got a fucking thing coming, mate. You don't know what's about to hit you. Your life is about to turn into a fucking whirlwind.
Like an express train driving you through a screaming tunnel in Alberta.
And you'll be in fucking Sing Sing before your feet hit the ground.
There we go.
The crack team. They're a crack team.
They're the SAS of mounted police. Anyway, an anonymous Mountie informed the press the boy
The
seems
SAS look like a bunch of pussies compared to them.
Mountie.
Yeah.
And so we determined otherwise.
The one group that the Navy SEALs, the SAS, and the Green Berets will not fuck with.
Yeah. I'm sorry, was it a Mountie? No. We will not take it up into Alberta. No.
Yeah, it's like
rightly, that's not our territory.
Like when Mossad's, when they were going around killing all the Nazis, the only one that survived was that old one in Canada, and that's because he was a Mountie. Couldn't touch him. They said, "Well, we can send all of Mossad after him," and they went, "But he's a Mountie. We can't lose that many men."
Sorry, guys.
We'll just have to wait till he outs himself at some sort of,
and then the Mounted police will get him. Yeah. Or raise a formal investigation and then they'll take care of it.
Oh, he was, that was it. When it was like, he was like brought forward, like it was something about Ukraine. I bet it turned out that he was like an ex-Nazi or something. Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Right.
They're still kicking about.
Sadly, sad to say. The following afternoon, two more boys, 14-year-old Mike Gold and 12-year-old Russell Van Nice, great names there, also reported seeing a strange silver animal in Thetis Lake, which rose out of the water, had a look round, submerged again. Yeah, nothing interesting around here. Pop. The merch stand still closed. Back down into the depths. Their initial description of the creature was significantly different and far more detailed than that of their predecessors. In an article on Vancouver Sun, they quoted them as saying that it was vaguely human-like in appearance, had a hideous face and was covered in scales. It had a point sticking out of its head, said Mike Gold, was silvery and had great big ears. There's your 3 points. Two big ears.
Two big ears.
Conical head. Conical head. Yeah. In the aftermath of the publication, a local man called the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to inform that the creature might, in fact, be his lost Tegu or Tegu, I don't know, lizard, a predatory South American reptile.
Oh, so it might have had its
flaps
out.
Which disappeared from its home 1 year earlier. I mean, I imagine it sounds like one you probably shouldn't be bringing into Canada as well, but there you go. Although he had assumed the animal had perished over the winter, Pike and Flynn's description of a fluorescent scaled animal with 3 lumps on its head was apparently an apt description of the missing pet.
Mm.
In the decades following this flurry of dramatic newspaper articles, writers have put forth all sorts of theories on the identity of the mysterious monster of Thetis Lake. So I'm going to summarise this as well because it's getting on a bit better. 1999 book, Field Guide to Bigfoot, Yet Another Mystery Primates Worldwide, which outlined a proposed classification system for the various subhuman entities in wilderness areas throughout the world. So this is like Linnaeus for bullshitters. Cryptozoologists Lauren Coleman and Patrick Hugh placed the Thetis Lake monster in a class they called mer-being, which encompasses mermaids, sea apes, lizard men, and the infamous shakubra. Chupacabra, rather.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra? Yeah. I would have thought Chupacabra was
not a merman.
No.
But what you did forget to say, because you said mermaid, you didn't say merman.
No, that's true.
Could you do it? And could you do it in that voice?
Let me go back a second. Cryptologists Lauren Coleman and Patrick Hughes placed Thetis Lake in a class they called mer-being, which encompasses mermaids, merman, sea apes, mermaids, merman, sea apes, lizard men, and the infamous chupacabra. Anyway, they divided this hypothetical monster family into 2 subclasses, the marine and the freshwater variety, the latter of which Thetis Lake monster would necessarily belong.
Was the merman from the lost city of Flontar?
Well, it's characterised by an angular foot with a high instep and 3-pointed toes, according to these bullshitters. Yeah. It's carnivorous and they're common marine cousins. Mer-being typically short than the average man, generally lean and wiry.
Nice.
Nocturnal,
scrappy
vocalization. Yeah. Yada yada. Now it's just trying to sell this.
Sell the book.
And it's talking about a connection to an aquatic creature of Queen Charlotte Islands, 135 miles northwest of Vancouver Island. Yada yada yada. Yada yada yada.
They're quite written, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot here. Volume 1 of his 2001 book, Mysterious Creatures, The Guide to Cryptozoology. Thetis Lake Monster was specimen. We're really just getting now into the kind of
I think we
the
got
genealogy
got
of
the
lizard
gist.
people. Yeah.
Some people saw.
I'm not going to care about any of the rest. We saw this bit, and then a bunch of idiots decided to try and classify. This is a false taxonomy of mythical beings.
That's it. And isn't that what we all do?
Oh, hang on a second. In 2009, professional skeptic Daniel Loxton, editor of the Junior Skeptic, a section of the Skeptic Society Skeptic magazine.
He sounds terrible. Junior Skeptic. It's like that's like fucking like young conservative.
Intended for children. Took it upon himself to debunk the monster.
Oh, good.
He presented that work in a yada yada called The Shocking Secret Things. Like Loxton's piece opened with a sort of sneering disdain, typical of the skeptical philosophy. There you go. He served me out, this article writer, hasn't he? Beside an illustrated portrait of the author, a text bowl reads, "Hello, I'm Daniel, the editor of Junior Skeptic. I'd like to introduce you to a creature you've probably never heard of, the Thetis Lake Monster. And if you had heard of it, you shouldn't have. This must be among the silliest of the true monster legends ever created. If that's so, why isn't so many cryptozoology books? Let's find out." Despite its sardonic introduction, Lockton's piece is uncommonly well researched. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, so there's some beef in this. Yada, yada, yada. Well, this guy at the start was all, I don't know, he suddenly turned into a true believer halfway through this article.
It can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
It can happen. He's written himself into a corner.
Anyway,
turns out I was wrong. They're all real. Yeah. Good day.
So the Thetis Lake Monster
turns out they're all real. The world isn't what I thought it was. I'm off to Switzerland to have euthanasia done on me. Good day.
Sudden realization. Urban legend, suspecting it was a hoax, yada, yada, yada. He discovered, Loxton, a low-budget 65 horror movie entitled The Beach Girls and the Monster, A Monster from the Surf. Had been aired twice on TV. Basically, there was a TV movie that went out
monster,
with a scaly humanoid creature resembling the antagonist with the picture of the battle again. He concluded his presentation.
I'll tell you what, that creature from the Black Lagoon film or whatever, like that, it seems to have sparked about 100 100 pairs of teenage boys to start urban myths about seeing something.
Harbour. Yeah, and he had a phone call with Russell Van Nuys, who admitted it was just a big lie, and his friend Gold was a habitual yarn spinner. No, teenage kids were making stuff up. Case closed. Loxton proclaimed triumphantly at the end of his piece.
That was like in The Simpsons, where Bart goes,
I think you'll find this obviously wrong story. What's wrong?
When Bart goes, "Take him away, boys," and then Wigan goes, "Hey, I meant to say that. Take him away, toys." Just what the kid said. That's what you're like with Case Closed.
Yeah, that's one of many reasons why my police career didn't come to this. We know it's juvenile prank. The most unrealistic fish story sounded like a prank from the beginning. Well, yeah. I don't know where this guy's studying that. One question remains: how did a hoax so goofy ever become part of the modern monster lore? Although Loxton certainly debunked the sighting, he apparently failed to consider the likely possibility that the hoax had been inspired by Pike and Llewellyn's report, which had been printed in the papers the previous day, which the mounted police regarded as sincere. Right. Back into fact territory now. And considered credible enough to investigate.
Like don't leave a stone unturned.
Won't leave a stone unturned. The case of the monster of Thetis Lake is not as widely open as shut as popular perception reports. Perhaps it truly had a strange visitor in the summer of 72, be it a goo lizard, a monster of native legend, or something else entirely.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave it at there for
now,
Chris. And then we'll put maybe we'll do the
rest of them
part
and then
two. Yeah.
Put them out, yeah. All right, guys. So sorry it's been a bit of a weird one, but I've explained, and I hope you're all doing well. And we'll be back soon with the second part of this. So take care and I love you all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.